Two pairs of pants can carry the very same size on the tag and the very same high-rise promise on the label. Put them both on, and they can still land on your body in completely opposite ways. One pair cuts a hard line straight across your middle and rolls the moment you sit down. The other lies flat and stays quiet all day long. When that happens, it is tempting to decide the problem is your body. Most of the time, it simply is not. The real difference is built right into the pants themselves, where the band lands, how it is shaped, how much room the front leaves for your middle, and how the fabric behaves when you move all decide whether a pair works. That is settled long before your size ever enters the picture. In the next few minutes, you will learn a simple 3-part test. You can run it on any pair, in any store, before you trust one word on the tag. And here's the part that surprises people most. Sometimes the higher waistband is the very reason a pair fails you. Start with placement. Placement simply means where the top edge of the waistband actually lands on your torso once the pants are on and fastened. A good landing point is stable. The band rests on a spot that does not shift much when you move or bend. A poor one settles on the softest, most changeable part of your middle, with nothing firm to grip. If your torso is shorter, with less room between your ribs and your hips, a tall band can press up under the ribs with nowhere comfortable to sit. Next comes shape. Shape is how the waistband and the top of the pants follow your body once they have landed there. A straight band is one flat strip, the same all the way around. A contoured band is curved on purpose to match how your waist narrows and your hip widens. That curve lets it follow the change instead of fighting it. Shape is also about behavior under pressure. A rigid band holds one fixed circle and presses hardest wherever your body is fuller. A softer, more flexible band gives a little and settles against you far more evenly. The third part is space. Space is whether the front of the pants gives your middle enough room to sit inside and not just standing at the mirror, but truly sitting down in a chair. Standing, a well-spaced front lies smooth and roughly vertical. Nothing digs into you, and nothing bells outward into a soft, empty pocket of fabric. Sitting is the real test. The moment you sit, your middle naturally comes forward and asks for more length, and a front with too little room will pull tight, dip down, or press. Here's the whole test in one breath. Placement. Where does the band land? Shape. Does it follow the body? Space. Does the front work when you sit? Before we go further, one honest note. Many women find that around midlife, their proportions quietly shift, and the middle can grow fuller, even when the number on the scale barely moves. That change does not look the same on everyone. Some carry it low, some carry it higher, and some have a fuller bust above with a shorter space in between. There are many reasons a body changes over the years, and this is not the place to sort through any of them. What matters here is simpler. The pants should keep up with the body you have now. So, we are going to stop asking what is wrong with the body and start asking what the garment is doing instead. The pants are quietly giving you information, and the point is that you can learn to read it. Think of a size number as a rough average and nothing more. It gathers a huge range of real different bodies under one single label and assumes they are all shaped in more or less the same way. Two women can measure the same distance around the waist and still be shaped very differently. One is flatter through the front, while the other carries more depth low in the abdomen. Now add in different posture, a longer or shorter torso, and hips that sit closer to or farther from the waist. Suddenly, that one shared size number behaves in completely different ways on each of them. So treat your size as a starting point, never a verdict. It tells you roughly where to start looking on the rack. It does not promise that any given pair will actually fit. Now, the single part that decides the most is the waistband, so we will spend real time here. It sits exactly where your middle is fullest and most sensitive, which is why nearly every complaint begins right there. Picture a narrow, stiff band, a thin strip that barely bends. On a fuller middle, it has one edge to press against you, and it presses hard. That thin edge digs in and leaves a firm horizontal ridge, a visible line across the front, right where the band ends and the softness begins. The eye is naturally drawn to that ridge because it interrupts the line of the whole outfit. Instead of a smooth vertical flow from your waist to the hem, everything gets visually cut in half at its widest point. Now swap it for the opposite, a thin, soft, fully elastic band with no structure. It feels gentle in the store, which is exactly why it fools you. With nothing to hold it in place, that soft band rolls. It folds over on itself above a fuller middle and becomes a tube of bunched fabric. It also tends to give out slowly as the day goes on. It stretches a little wider, stops springing back the way it did, and gradually slides down until you are quietly tugging it up again and again. Between those two extremes sits the option most people are happiest with, a broader, flatter band with some quiet structure. Because it is wider, it spreads its hold over more surface instead of biting along one thin line. That wider contact usually feels calmer against you and looks smoother. The pressure is shared across a taller band rather than concentrated on one digging edge. But wider is not automatically better, and that matters. On a short torso, a very tall band can reach almost up to the ribs, leaving no comfortable gap and crowding you the instant you sit down. Watch the shape of the band closely as well. Not only its width. A perfectly straight band is really one flat circle. So if your waist curves inward more than your hip does, that straight edge cannot follow the curve. You see it at the back. The straight band stands away from your spine, leaving a gap you could slip a hand into while the front feels snug. A contoured band, remember, is one that is gently curved rather than cut straight. It is built to follow that difference between waist and hip, so it can close the back gap and lie flat against you instead. So the goal here is easy to picture. A band that lies flat, stays put through the day, and genuinely suits your torso. No single width does that for everyone, because placement and your own shape always have the final say. This brings us back to the one word everyone reads on the label: rise. Rise just means the distance from the crotch seam up to the top of the waistband, or how high the pants come up on you. Rise does tell you something genuinely useful. A higher rise generally reaches up and over the fullest part of your middle, instead of stopping just below it. So the fabric gets a chance to sit above that fullness. But rise is only a height. By itself, it tells you nothing about how the band is shaped, how much curve the front holds, how the fly behaves, or how well the fabric recovers. So imagine two high-rise pairs hanging side by side. The first comes up high, but it is cut with a shallow, flat front. It is genuinely tall, yet almost no room has been carved out for the middle. The second reaches the same height, but it has a deeper, curved front that makes real room where your body comes forward. Same rise number, very different result. On the body, the first strains and dips while the second lies calm. Nothing on either tag warns you because it lives in the pattern, not the height. And higher is not always the answer either. With a short torso and a fuller bust, an extreme rise can crowd the small space you already have between them, and a stable mid-rise may sit far better. This is exactly why we lead with placement, shape, and space, rather than a rise number. The number on the tag is only a clue. Those three questions are the real test you can run on any pair. Now let's learn to read the clues a pair gives you, one at a time. The very first clue is a front waistband that dips, sitting noticeably lower in the center front than it does at your sides. Often the back does the exact opposite and rides up. When the front runs short on length, the pants quietly borrow it from behind, so the back waistband climbs upward while the front sinks down. That is the key idea behind almost every clue. Fabric missing in one place gets pulled from another. Your middle needs room, and if the pattern does not provide it, the whole garment shifts around to find it. Watch for diagonal lines too. Creases that fan out from the center front mean the front is stretched to cover more than it was cut for. Similar diagonal lines can appear across the hips and near the pockets. They tell you the fabric is under tension and is straining toward the fullest point. Sometimes the front does the reverse and caves inward, folding under the lower middle instead of falling straight down. That inward pull is another sign that the front space and your body are not matched. On zip styles, Look at the fly. A fly that puckers, buckles, or refuses to lie flat is usually being pushed from behind by pressure, not sewn badly. Compare that to a front that works. It falls in a smooth, vertical line with no dip, no fan of creases, and no fold caving underneath. Much of this comes down to front crotch length, which sounds technical, but is simple. It is the fabric that travels from the front waist, down and under, to meet the back. Too little, and the front pulls tight. Crotch depth is a different measurement altogether. Think of it as how deep the pants are from the waistband down to the place where you actually sit. With enough depth, you can settle fully into a chair without the waistband climbing. This is exactly why simply sizing up can disappoint you. A larger size adds width evenly all the way around, but it may not add the specific front length and depth your middle was quietly asking for in the first place. The opposite problem is too much front length. When the front is cut with more room than your body uses, that fabric has nowhere to go. The surplus gathers into a soft, empty pouch below the waistband. So the aim is never maximum fabric. It is the right amount of room for your shape. One last important thing about all of these clues: always read them together, never in isolation. A single wrinkle proves very little, but a dip, a rising back, and diagonal lines seen together tell one clear story. Now for the free test that changes everything. Most pants get judged standing at a mirror, and that is the one moment their problems stay out of sight. But you do not live standing still. You sit to drive, to eat, and to work when your middle comes forward and the waistband is tested. So, in the fitting room, sit all the way back, the way you honestly sit at home. Do not perch on the front edge to protect the pants. Plant both feet flat on the floor and let your knees fall to a natural, relaxed width. You want your everyday posture, not a careful, held-in pose. Then lean forward a little, as if reaching for a cup on a low table. This is the moment a shallow front will pull its hardest across you. Shift your weight from side to side and cross your ankles if that feels natural. Small, ordinary movements like these reveal far more than sitting frozen and upright. Now stand back up slowly and simply pay attention. Does anything need a tug, a smoothing, or a quiet little rescue before it looks right again? Then take several real steps across the room. A pair that grips or twists as you walk has already told you how the whole day will go. As you move, run a short checklist. First, breathing and pressure. You should be able to take a full, comfortable breath while seated with no band cutting in. Second, the top edge. Look for a band that quietly rolled over on itself while you were sitting, or a front that dipped down in the center. Third, the back waist. Reach behind you and feel whether a gap opened up at your lower back while the front stayed comfortably in place. Fourth, the fly and the pockets. Check whether the fly puckered and whether the pockets pulled themselves open, since both react to tension across the front. And fifth, the honest question: did you have to fix anything? If the pants needed rearranging after just sitting and standing, they will need it all day. Let's talk about pockets now, because a gaping pocket is one of the most common frustrations. A slash pocket is the kind cut on a slant at the front of the hip, with its opening set right into the seam. When the front is under tension, with the fabric stretched to cover a fuller middle, that pull has to go somewhere. It travels to the weakest opening and forces the pocket to spring apart. But tension is only one possible cause. Some pockets gape simply because they were sewn without a stay, which is a small piece of fabric hidden inside that anchors the pocket and keeps its opening flat. So test pockets the way you test everything else, in real motion. Sit, lean, and stand back up, and watch whether the openings stay closed or peel apart. If pockets keep gaping, you still have good options. The simplest is a clean front with no slash pockets, which removes the opening that kept pulling apart. Another is a curved jean-style pocket, where the opening follows a rounded line. That shape tends to sit more stably against the hip than a straight diagonal cut. You can also look for pockets built with that inner stay, or with the two front pockets joined across the middle. Both help hold the front smooth. And if a pair fits beautifully but the pockets gape, and you never use them anyway, a tailor can stitch them closed and leave a clean front. None of this means a fuller middle rules pockets out completely. Plenty of well-built pockets stay perfectly flat and useful all day. The real goal is simply a pocket that stays calm and flat when you move. Now, for fabric, and a myth well worth retiring, more stretch is not automatically more comfortable. On its own, stretch can quietly work against you. Two very different qualities are actually hiding inside that single word. Stretch is simply how far a fabric will give when you pull on it, or how much it extends around your body before it stops. Recovery is the other, quieter half of the story. Recovery is how well the fabric springs back to its original shape once you stop stretching it. A fabric can extend easily and still recover very poorly. That gap is why some pants feel just right in the morning and go loose by afternoon. They stretched to fit early on, then never sprang back, so they slowly went slack as the day wore on. You can spot poor recovery before you buy. Look at the display pair at the knees. Soft, stretched out bubbles. They mean the fabric gave once and never returned. Check the seat and the waistband the same way. Bagging behind, or a band gone wavy and loose, tells you how the fabric will age on you. You can also test it in seconds. Pinch a hidden section, stretch it firmly, then let go, and watch. Good fabric snaps back. Tired fabric stays puckered. Run your hand along the fabric too, and feel its substance. Very thin material records every ripple of tension underneath, so a little weight and body reads cleaner. That does not mean heavy and stiff. It means just enough structure to skim over your body, rather than cling to it and broadcast every line beneath. And here is the important exception. A firm, non-stretch fabric can be absolutely wonderful when the pattern underneath it is right. There is simply no magic stretch percentage on a label that guarantees a good result. Only now do we finally reach leg shape, and the order genuinely matters. No leg shape can rescue a pair that fails at the waistband and front, so always solve the top of the pants first. A straight leg runs at roughly the same width all the way from hip to hem. It is a reliable, familiar choice that keeps the whole line clean and simple. Its real strength is continuity. An unbroken vertical line from your waistband down to your shoe lets the eye travel smoothly, instead of stopping at a sudden change in width. A gentle boot cut follows your leg down and then widens just slightly below the knee. That small, even flare can quietly balance a fuller upper body by echoing a little of it lower down. The one caution is going too far. A dramatic, heavy flare can pull the whole outfit off balance and read as dated, so a gentle amount is usually more modern. A controlled wide leg is fuller all the way down, but in a clean, deliberate column rather than a flood of fabric. Done well, it looks calm and current. For a wide leg to actually work, though, the upper section has to stay perfectly smooth, and the fabric needs a certain weight. That weight is what lets it fall in a straight column instead of ballooning outward. If you are petite, keep a close eye on proportion here. A very wide, very long leg can overwhelm a shorter frame, so a slightly narrower width and a carefully chosen hem keep it in scale. A slight taper narrows the leg gently in toward the ankle and can look genuinely sleek and modern. Just be sure it only skims the calf, because if it grips there, it draws the eye straight to the widest point. Whatever shape you choose, the hem and shoe finish the line. A hem at a flattering point, and a shoe that continues the color. Keep the leg long and unbroken. A quick word on tops now, because they are so often used as a rescue. A long top can certainly cover a waistband, but it can never actually fix one, and it usually shortens your visible leg while it tries. When the pants already work, you gain real freedom. A full tuck, tucked in all the way around, shows off the waistband and makes the most of a clean one. A soft blouse tuck is a gentler version of the same idea. You tuck the top in, then let a little fabric fall softly back over the band, which eases the line while keeping the leg long. A partial or front tuck sits in between the two. Tucking in just the center front hints at your waist and keeps the outfit relaxed along the sides. An untucked top is completely valid when you choose it on purpose, rather than default to it. Just pick a length that ends at a flattering point, not one that drapes down over everything. An open layer helps here too. A cardigan, vest, or long jacket left open creates a vertical line down your center and draws the eye top to bottom. So treat tucking as a choice, never a rule. The right answer is whichever you like on pants that already fit, and there is no single correct way. Here's a simple tool that quietly removes most of the guessing from shopping. Take the one pair you already know you love, lay it out flat and smooth on a table, and pick up a tape measure. First, measure straight across the waistband, edge to edge. Then measure how tall the band itself is, from top to bottom. Write both numbers down. Next, the front rise. Measure from the very top of the front band down to the crotch seam. Then, the back rise, from the top of the back band down to that same seam. Then measure across the hip at a consistent point, across the widest part of the thigh, the inseam from crotch to hem, and finally, the leg opening. Finally, note the details that are not really numbers. The pocket type, the fabric, how much it stretches, and how well it springs back. Now you are holding a full profile of what truly fits you. Carry that little profile with you when you shop. Many online listings now publish flat garment measurements, so you can compare them directly instead of trusting a size, though flat numbers still cannot show drape or how a pair truly sits. When a pair is close but still not quite right, a good tailor can often finish the job. Shortening a hem, taking in a small gap at the back waist, closing a pocket, or replacing tired elastic are all usually realistic. But some changes are not small repairs at all. They are full rebuilds. Adding real front rise room, reshaping the crotch curve, or moving an entire fly means remaking the architecture of the pants, and that is rarely worth the cost. Which leads to one firm rule worth remembering. A painful pair is never a bargain, no matter how deep the discount. If it genuinely hurts in the fitting room, it will not soften at home, so let it go. So before you ever buy, run the 7 quick checks: where the band lands, the band itself, the front space, the pockets, the fabric recovery, how it feels while seated, and finally the leg shape and proportion. In the end, dress the body you have now by choosing pants built to work with it, not by fighting your body or trusting a label. Now tell me in the comments, which do you meet most, the rolling waistband, the pulling front, or the gaping pockets?